Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Trainman, and we are elsewhere on the Iron Horseman Railway. And I am using the incorrect track. I will start out by saying that. And no, it's not an accident. Okay, so if you'll notice, right there on the edge of this cliff of doom is the CHN Wood 2, and it's Chinese. And it's very well detailed, as a matter of fact. It's on par with like the jointed rail track, and it's better than the hot track, the HOTT stuff. It has some clipping issues. However, the real thing that makes it, or I'm not sure if you'd call them clipping issues, it's problems with the texture. It just looks wonky. If you notice, I already did all the grading on this, and I'm going through and, little lag there, going through and putting some ground under everything, and then adjusting things so it's not so wobbly, and that's one of the problems. Also, trying to keep the curves relatively, oh dear, shut up. I was on my phone, believe it or not. Not exactly few and far between, but make them, what's the word? Just make them, well, more realistic for one, and just so it looked good. You know, if you see track that sort of wobbles all over the place, that's not appealing. And there are a few cases where I realized I had sort of an unsightly wobble and decided to straighten it out. Alright, if you'll notice, I did in fact do these the conventional way instead of, the masochist way, where I'm just placing down all the, I'm putting the track on the ground and then moving the ground around. Sorry. So next thing is all this. This is this. And yeah. It's just double tracking it. Honestly, the thing that gets me when I was doing this is getting it right on the right spot and getting it has to be precisely parallel, which means that the line between the two centers of the circles there, or between the two sides. There's something about tangency here and perpendicularness, and I was going to make it sound important and sort of sciencey, but that fell apart. Glad I'm not in school right now, anyways. Alright, so just some minor adjustment on all these, and they are pretty good. Again, I do come through and I redo these a little bit each time, and they get better. Honestly, at the beginning I didn't think I was going to make it all the way up, and I just barely did. I ended up doing the math. Turns out I needed a average grade of 1.3 or 1.13%, and that's pretty doable. And it's pretty good. And of course, because it wasn't a straight line, I was able to cut down on that. So that was sort of the pessimistic estimate of, okay, what is the minimum, what is the highest minimum grade we're going to need on this? And then I go and replace them. So we have that as CHN track. Alright, so now we're working on the stuff that was not built by me. And first thing I do is clear out that bridge, get rid of a lot of this trackage. Get over here, realize that the trackage is pretty atrocious. And then just go on a killing spree and destroy everything. Which, I'll likely come back here next week. It will happen while I'm at Train Mountain, for the record. You will get episodes and videos as usual. I'm leaving on Tuesday. And I need to make a locomotion, don't I? Anyways, well, I can make a locomotion on the day. That's not the biggest problem. It's a pain to make locomotion. I like the game. The game will always hold a special place in my heart, but goddamn if it's not damn near impossible to record sometimes. So we've got narrow gauge over there, which I would assume is terrain tracks. There's supposed to be a town there. Believe it or not, there was a town in that corner there, but I removed it because it was missing a lot of assets. I will get another copy of the town from the person who made it, and then, which is Wild, and then put it in. Giggity. I'm clearing out this little area because, not because I don't like it, but because I don't know what level I want everything to be at. And to make sure that I wouldn't get it wrong, accidentally place some trees there. To make sure I wouldn't adjust it and then have tons of things floating in midair, I just had to take the precautionary approach and get rid of it. Now, I don't know why whatever that is underground. Get rid of the worker. Take care of this green, this water there. Which I did miss a spot a little bit, but I have to pull some stuff out of the ground in order to get at it and delete it. It was the kind of thing where, destruction is like therapeutic. This episode was really fun to record, and then I realized, oh wait, no. People actually have to come through and fix this now, because I'm deleting it because it's not good. Alright, so we've got the suspension bridge, though. This is the Clifton Park suspension bridge, if you recognize it. Moving around that piece of track was just an utter pain. Smoothing it out. Building ground right up to the edge of it, and then threading a track across it. Of course, in reality, it's not a rail bridge, but for our use right here, it is. And this is me going killing spree on Milford. Not really sure what to do with that town there. It's the kind of thing where, like, I don't dislike it. I'm just not sure what I want to do with it right now. So I clear out all the buildings, or most of the buildings, and pretty much everything else, roads included. I'll leave that fence there, and the intersection by accident. Accidentally placed some suspension bridges. Whoops. Alright, so getting rid of that, probably a mistake in all things considered, because I ended up needing it again, more or less. And here's me just flattening things, because, yeah, I moved the bridge over to where it was supposed to be, which helped with the gradients leading towards it. Cleaned up all this mess, only leaving the bits of terrain that I need, or will need, or that are needed in the future, and then started with the 2-track wood again. Tried to make it interesting, tried to make it sort of wibbly-wobbly. Of course, the gorge is a difficult piece, or not the gorge itself, but the high line, as it is a difficult piece of trackage to navigate, and is only normally used by very high-powered trains or very fast and light trains. So here we go connecting that up, and that was awkward. So what I ended up doing is getting rid of it, redoing it, and then pulling out the plateau tool, although not the plateau tool, pulling out the use height tool, and almost destroying this section. So readjust that, and now we have this whole section that's supposed to be a gradient, and it's supposed to be in the mountain somewhere. Currently it's hovering. And here's me coming through and just making it easier for myself in the long run. Alright, so I'm adjusting these, and again I did the math. And I went, okay, once again it's about a 1.3%, if I recall correctly. Or no, sorry. This was worse than that, because this has a max grade of 2. And I can't see, or no, it has a max grade of 3, and that's the other side. Now I can't see. The reason that it's such a bad grade is because someone put their town at the wrong elevation. I need to be careful not to use the wrong trackage there. Use the trackage that's actually usable, and then I can convert it afterwards. And so, obviously, the bridge is one track. And that's no accident, and that's nothing that I was worried about having to work around. So we've got this double track that leads almost all the way up to it. And at Summit, of course, there's a little Y and stuff, but once we get down here, down around here, we have a very brief stint of double track after the Y and crossovers at Summit. And then, I could probably get rid of the double cross at Summit. There's two crossovers at one end and a double cross at the other end. I'm not sure if it's completely necessary due to the fact that we're going to run into single track here in a second. For the most part, the entire line is double. The Iron Horseman route in total. So, what's the word? So, the whole thing is double track more or less, except for a few sections, except for the branch line, except for the part of the coal line, and except for this. And Lee's line as well. And, anything that isn't main line is a good chance of being... Anything that gets its own name is a good chance of being single track. Alright, so I could have done the track down there, but instead I decided to do something far more important, and that is to connect what's going to be Milford to the gorge. Or what's going to be the gorge, I should say, because, again, very much a work in progress, and I wish the work had been further along or could possibly go faster, but not quite. Making that look more or less okay. So I did some research real quick. I don't remember if it must be coming up soon in the episode. I did some research. Yeah, that's me doing research. And I found out the height of the Clifton Park suspension bridge above the river. So that's the height that I made the trackage and the river here. Which you'll see, it's going to be a river. And I just put this on the bridge for, I don't know, want something good to look at. So during this, I was listening to the Patch Podcast by Rooster Teeth about a game called God Save the Queen. I don't remember much about it, but it's always nice to have a podcast in the background while you're trying to work on this stuff. Or, people. People's good too. It's a big station. I ended up using this one, sort of backwoodsy enough. Right, there we go. Getting rid of some extra splines. When they need to be reinstated, they can be. And I should have put some buffers on those tracks, it occurs to me. Adjusting things a little bit, we have basically what could be a stockyard there. That'd be good. Stockyard. And then we've got tracks running off in that direction. I get rid of that intersection finally. And I run by a third track here, which, if you'll notice, these tracks aren't particularly long. Sorry for the weird noise. These tracks aren't particularly long in terms of passing or anything, but that's just the way they are. So I decided to name it down, and I did. I mean, it had a name. It was Milford, I believe. And this is, as I said, this is the closest thing, or not to you guys, but I have said, this is the closest thing to you guys. There's some markers for the next person. This is the closest thing that we have to a, what is it called? A backwoods sort of farm town on the main line, except it's all in the middle of the woods. You'll notice I'm flattening a lot of things because I'm just not sure what I want to do with the track work. Eventually settled on a path and went with it, more or less. You'll notice me juking from one side to the other of this plateau that I've been working on here. And then I bring it up here and I run it by underneath the bridge, which is precisely where it needs to go. Alright, and that was me doing some more math. I keep tabbing out to just bring up calculator and do some rough estimates as to distance and things. Oh, uh-oh, my screensaver came on. That hasn't happened in a while. That's why I kept these videos under 15 minutes. Alright, so mark that for the next person. And I'm going to... for a tunnel. It runs into the gorge there at river level, and of course the river doesn't flow with it down. So obviously the river would have to split off and run into the woods, and in the map, in the big map document, that river actually runs all the way north and begins over where there's a abandoned stretch of trackage and just some huge mountains, you know. Decided this tunnel was alright, but just sort of left it as no tunnel, and it can be built by however is necessary. So I'm adjusting these carefully, more or less. Let's see, yeah, there I go. Okay. Same old thing. I'm just going to come up here, and then I'm going to double track it, and double track does run through the gorge there. It's not, the river here isn't, the Mississippi, but it's okay. It's sizable. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week with more of the same. Trainman out.